Several years ago, I met this girl, and I'm gonna come up with a anonymous, bogus name like Amy. Amy was 25 years old, going on 26 years old. I met her at a birthday party, being introduced by one of her female friends. And I was told by her female friends that Amy was digging me. She had a crush on me. She thought I was rather attractive. How I got there was from another extenuant person, associate of mine. And that was one of the times where I just wanted to just hang out every now and then whenever I had extra 30 minutes or an hour with people just to mingle and to socialize. Socializing is important to me. Not to be a part of them, just to keep my ear to the ground. And the first night, Amy was asking me for pretty much, everything. You know, what you normally ask for, the drinks, where do you work at? What do you do for a living? What's your life like? What kind of car you drive, etc., etc. Okay. So at the time, I wasn't too much red pill as I am today. Of course, these stories are in the past, so they're not going to be as sharp as what I am today. Okay, today you'll know Morpheus don't play that type of game. Maybe back then I was slipping up, made mistakes, was learning, hit my head. I don't have to tell you. You're pretty much you're wise enough to comprehend this. But I still gave her not so much of everything that I was able to do or my income and how much I was making, but I did throw out bogus things and interesting type of positions just to keep her interesting as what some blue pill guys would do. Just come up with something creative to get her to be interested. So after the party, she thought it was a lot more intriguing to hang out with me thereafter and cut off a couple of stories and side missing scenarios here. We ended up going steady for a little while, hanging out a little longer, taking things just a little bit more serious, started liking each other, that sort of thing. But in between the relationship, it didn't even last a year. All right. It seems month to month, she began to ask for a little bit more of myself. She would ask for me to pay for certain bills that she may have had, or probably help her out with some of her car notes. She pretty much asked for a money loan every so often. And she began to hint at me purchasing jewelry, things that she were interested in, such as earrings, and try to guilt me into it by saying, well, this is what guys usually do for their girlfriends. They buy them these anklets, these wristwatches, or popular perfumes during Valentine's Day, Christmas, that sort of thing. Right. Although he wasn't in that type of season, she was still trying to hint at this is an obligation in her mind that men are supposed to do this kind of thing. I'm like, well, I was kind of like in between. It wasn't I was willing to provide or to do for her, but I was more reluctant than anything. So, of course, there was always an excuse. Of course, I would say, no, I can't do that. I wasn't interested. I'm not going to do this and that. And if I did purchase something, it was probably something small, something very modest. It was acceptable, but something modest. If it was a ring, it wasn't something that was expensive, straight out of the diamond jeweler's shop. Okay, it was always going to be something that I could actually afford to be able to budget, right? Plus, I didn't know this girl all that much. Plus, at the time, I began to understand that something was wrong in the situation. She kept asking me for everything, wanting me to do everything that she desired to uplift her, to make her life a little bit more easier. And I didn't get much of anything in return. As a matter of fact, the only thing every now and then I would get is donkey every so often as a treat or a pat on the head. Oh, good boy. Good boy. You did good. Thanks for doing this. You did good. And so the story starts to get a little bit rocky, like the few months before the end, because I told you it only didn't even last a year. So it was like, what was that, 7 or 8 months or something like that. I think at this time we were beginning to get into the months of November, December, Christmas, and all type of those type of months. And she began to press a little more about some of the higher purchases that she desired, such as a car, certain cars that she was interested in. And I kind of felt off of the situation because she began to lean on the fact that she's donkey dunking with me. That was her excuse. Her excuse is, well, I donkey dunk with you. I lay with you every now and then, so I should get something in return for my services. I should get something out of being your girlfriend. If I'm your girlfriend, you should be paying. And then when I return, well, there has to be more than that. There's things that are required around the house, and there are things that are required in a relationship that is much more important than the bonus of donkey dunking. So why are you using that as a form of negotiation? As if it's a tangible item, as if I need to be honored that you are doing this, when it's actually the reverse. You actually should be honored that I myself am bringing something to the table. If that's the case, then you need to be gratified and happy that I too am in this donkey dunk arena, that I'm putting my energy in it as well. What makes you think that your availability, or you making yourself available, okay, to be in this donkey dunk circle, is any different than me being in a circle and donkey dunking with you as well? So if you consider your body, your interaction to be special, then what would make you think that mine is less than you? So you're telling me that you're more special than me. Okay, this is my mentality at the time. But of course, there was a little bit of emotions that were involved and a little bit of arguments. I'm still trying to understand what was going on here. Okay, this is before, of course, my wise years today. So I'm still understanding that something's wrong here. Something's going on. Why does she think that I'm obligated to give her everything that she wants? And then she try to guilt me into it. See that my girlfriend is doing this. My girlfriend, guess what? My girlfriend's boyfriend, he brought her this big teddy bear. He brought her this. He took her over here. He took her over this expensive restaurant over here. You're not going to take me over there? Then you can't be like him. Then he's a man. He's doing it. So why aren't you doing it? This is what men do. And I bet you she's giving him some good blah, blah, blah. And of course, I'm thinking, we don't have anything to do with them. What does that have to do with us? We have to maintain a certain budget, and it's not all about the money. It's about us getting to know each other. We need to take this one day at a time. We're not even in a year relationship. It's not even been a year yet, and you're asking for the unnecessary. We're not even married, but yet you ask me to go out there and put down a deposit on a car for you. Like, if you can't pay your deposit, if you cannot pay the down payment of your own car, what makes you think you're going to be able to afford the month-to-month payment and be diligent with that? That's my thinking. That's my logic. And so towards the end of our relationship, it came at a blast. It came at a blast where I didn't hear from her for a week. And I began to wonder, like, say, where's this girl at? She's not answering her text message. She want to pick up the phone. It's always going to straight to voicemail, something like that. And of course, by this time, I begin to worry. Naturally, when you're in a relationship with someone, that's what happens. You feel for them like that, even if you don't want to. There's still a certain concern. You should be concerned. You're not a machine or a robot. I didn't hear anything from her until Thursday, when she called and it tried to tell me that she was out of town for a little while and she couldn't get to her phone, which I immediately knew that it was a story. She was lying to me. It's a story, right? And I said, so you mean to tell me that the entire week when I was trying to text you or call you, that you was gone somewhere and you didn't take the initiative or make it important to keep in contact with me or use somebody else's phone if that's your excuse. If that's what actually happened, in which I don't believe, I don't stand by anyway. Okay, and I'm too smart for that. Okay, there are plenty of other people with cell phones and landlines and all sorts of forms of communication. Probably even on the computer itself, you can send me an email or something like that. No excuse at all. And here she go flying off the hinge because she realized I exposed her. She realized that I pretty much destroyed her game. Right. Yeah. You'd be surprised. Yeah. Women still think there's some people who will still think this in this generation. Yeah. There's some women who will still play that same old game book on you because it works on some blue pill. Because there's plenty of them. There's plenty of blue pill people who are ignorant to how things are operating today. So, yeah, they can still work. It still works. As ancient as it is, they'll still lie to you and get away with it. So she musters up the argument. Oh, you've been controlling, and we don't need to be spending all day long with each other. And I don't need to call you back. I don't need to call you back. Why are you worried about me calling you back? Communication. Well, you need to wait until I just call you back. You know that I'm busy. And I'm thinking to myself, well, you had a whole week. I can understand day to day. I can understand maybe even 2 days, depending on the situation. If you're sick, you're not feeling well, or there was a hop, skip, and a jump, but an entire week, there's a problem. If there's a week. If you're in a relationship, if you're not in a relationship with someone, maybe that's a different story. You're not in a relationship with them. You don't really have to communicate with them if you don't want to. But when you're in a relationship with someone and you really like that person, or if it's an important relationship, like going forward, like you getting serious to marriage, then of course you need to communicate with that person because they're looking to you as a future endeavor. Right. So I'm beginning to understand just how immature and destructive this girl is. So I said, you know what? I had enough of this. I'm not dealing with it. I had a whole week to think about your behavior. I don't operate this way. And you're too much of a liability in my world. We're just going to have to just leave it alone. We have to just let it go. I'm going to find something else. And I'm going to take my life in a different direction. And the way she got off the phone was very condescending, but obvious that there was something else going on between her. So she was like, well, if that's what you feel like doing, I don't care, basically. You want to be like that? Fine. It's not like I'm going to be missing you anyway. Well, I already knew that since she didn't want to communicate the whole week. So I'm like, okay, maybe she is talking to somebody else. Maybe she's been doing something else that is outside our relationship. So I'll let it go. No worries whatsoever, right? So a couple of weeks pass and I go to a bar somewhere in town where some of the younger people venture into every now and then. And I wasn't thinking about nothing, just trying to hang out for a few minutes and go back home, get a little breather, stretch my legs, something. Not try to pick up anybody or talk to any type of female, nothing like that. Just get out of the house, see the nightlife, see people. And what's the twisty thing about it was, after about an hour there, I was getting ready to leave, grab my jacket and my keys and just walk on out and just go home and get to doing some writing or some reading. The door chimed. Had a little doorbell ring on there, right? I'm like, okay, who's this? And I see this couple walking in. One of them was looking down, looked kind of familiar. Legs look familiar, hair look familiar. I'm like, okay, well, there's a lot of women that look like that. Doesn't mean I necessarily know her. And she's with this guy that, like a tuxedo-like suit, red tie, white shirt, hair glistening, a little oiled up or something like that. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. He looked like maybe he's made of money. I don't know. I have no idea. And, the girl looked up And of course, as you expected, it was her. Not a good 2 weeks later, after our initial breakup, there she is. Already had a boyfriend there prepared and ready. Already had backup plan already. And I'm pretty sure that was the guy that she was with the entire week. I'm pretty sure she was probably even dealing with him while she was claiming to be committed and steady with me. And come to find out, because I heard this thereafter, leaving the place and shaking my head like this is a crazy world, right? She had a sister that was actually in town as well that filled me in on the situation. And you'll be surprised. And you, if you hear a guy who talks like this, they'll say, well, their girlfriends and their sisters, they keep secrets. Oh, yes, they do. Yeah. And they won't tell you anything until the relationship is done. They won't tell you nothing until it's done. And the sister hit me up actually on Facebook. No, I don't deal with all that mess now, but during that time, sure. And she said, I heard about the breakup, but there's something I have to tell you about the situation, because she told me that she was kind of upset that you decided to break it off with her. And she tried to paint you as this cheap guy, this cheap man who didn't want to spend money on her. And she felt as if you was playing her off. And I'm thinking to myself, how is this possible? Let me hear out even further. She said, well, the new guy that she's with now, the only reason why she's interested in him is because of his money. Just last week. And I'm thinking, just last week. Wait, just last week. I said, oh, wait, 2 weeks ago. Are you talking about 2 weeks ago, such date? She said, yeah, there was, that guy, the new boyfriend that she's with, actually helped her get a new car. I'm like, so that's what she was doing the entire week. She said, that's what she was doing the entire week. She helped her get a new car, and he even asked for her hand in marriage. And she began to talk about him. That the idiot went out and even actually tried to get her finger sized to see what type of ring that he can purchase to put on her finger. I'm like, oh man, outrageous, just outrageous. But it gets even worse than that. It gets worse than that. She said she didn't want to tell you this, and I didn't want to ruin her game for being with you. And I know she's not going to tell the other guy about this. But she also had a miscarriage when she was 16 years old. Oh my goodness. I'm thinking to myself, how come I didn't know about this? Because she patched it up pretty good. She donned herself quite well. And again, we haven't been together for that long. It's only been like not even nearly a year yet. And as a busy guy myself and having my own life and job and so forth, so on, we didn't move in with each other. So it's not like I knew every nick and cranny. So it was an every now and then thing. Okay. And although we would hang out, we'd go places, we would do things. These are the things that she kept away from me. So I didn't know much about that. And I didn't know much about her background or her past in that type of light. I'm thinking 16 years old. Wow. I'm thinking, oh, what happened in that situation? I don't want to know anything about it. I'm thinking, this is the girlfriend you're talking about my 25-year-old girl. You talking about her. Like, yeah, my sister. Yeah, her. Like, oh no. Unreal. So I give her my thanks. Like, okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Wow. Thanks for letting me know. I'm glad I'm out of that. Wow. Yuck. I need to bathe in bleach now. Let me scrub my skin. Wow. So I leave it alone, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm glad, thanking the skies and the universe, like, okay, I'm safe from that situation. It could have been, whoa. So a month passed, and I'm starting to get around a little bit, building up my finances. Still pretty much blue pill, but trying to put all the pieces together. Don't know much of anything. So I'm still learning how to work on cars. I'm still learning how to be a handyman, right? So I'm outside of a one of my friends' house helping them put their wheel on their car. Got the wheel all propped up and everything, and the wheels off of it. Got the jack stands underneath it, so I'm moving the wheel around. Friends inside the house doing whatever he was doing, but he was helping though. It's not like he was just lazy, right? So this woman stops in the middle of the road. She pulls over to the side, and I'm thinking maybe he knows her. I don't know. Who's this? Who's this lady? Looked to be in her age of, what's how old she was. She's in her 30s something. Yeah, 37, 36, 37, something like that. She wasn't too heavy set. Looked like she kept her weight a little fair, modest. And she started walking up real fast to me like, I need a little help. Do you know how to work on cars, right? I'm like, yeah, I do a little bit something. I'm not the best, but I can do something. I can look up underneath it and, give you some inquiry or whatever. Okay, here's my phone number right here. Call me when you get some time because I need some help with my car. It's actually my daughter's car. I'm like, okay. Wow. All right, sure. Fine. Let's get back in the car. I'm thinking about, okay, this may be another business proposition. Let me check that out. Grow from this study. Right? And I think this is like during the week when she came to me. This is like, I was working on my friend's car. I think it was like on a Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. So when I called her, I said, hey, I'm free Saturday. I got things to do. I'm still out here working and, trying to put bread on my table. Saturday's good. 12 o'clock, right during that, right there in the afternoon, right there in the peak. Okay, fine. Sure. Okay. So when I get over there, right, I'm thinking, it's a pretty nice houses. They're okay, so to speak. Not as big as what you expect it to be. I don't know, middle class, lower class, something like that. Nice class. Yeah, I said nice class. So I get over there and I ring the doorbell after getting the address, and like the garage was halfway up. I can see like there's a bumper to a car on the inside. And here she is. She runs to the door. Oh, hey, you so and so. Okay, Mr. C, come on in. Blah blah. Let me get you something to drink before I show you where the car is to work on it. I'm like, okay. Let's get inside, and she start pouring some lemonade or something like that 'cause it's kind of hot outside. Then, so how you doing? How do you get into the car thing? I'm like, just self-taught experience here and there, a little bit of learning, a little bit of schooling, a little bit of salt and pepper. Don't waste my time in too many things for too long. I got places to be, horizons to reach, so forth. Right? Not telling her everything. So okay, yeah. So yeah, just last week she started telling me a story about what was going on her job or whatever else. Start telling me about how unmarried that she is. She just divorced her husband like a year ago. Right, saying that he was a stingy bastard, didn't want to pay for anything. He was tight-fisted with his money. But yet she wanted more. She's talking about she wanted to go place, she wanted to travel. She wanted a bigger house than what she had. All these I want, me type of scenarios. And I'm just quiet because, I did not want to lose that particular client at that day because it could actually branch to something else. So I pick and choose what I was going to say. And I was like, it's kind of messed up. And I was thinking to myself, but I said it out loud as well. accidentally. I was like, well, I think relationships are a balanced thing. I mean, if you want him to provide and give you and do for you, then, there should be something in return. And she says, I'm like, well, yeah, there's been of course I've been returning. I'm his wife. I mean, I was his wife. I did return something. I let him take my hand in marriage. So that should have been good enough. And I'm thinking, wow, she sounds so familiar. Twisting me up here, almost like a reflection of what I've been through in the past. Like, I'm like, okay, do all women think like this? Like, this is, no wonder no wonder the dating landscape is difficult, because our mind is difficult, our lifestyle is difficult, our expectations. So I'm like, all right, after about 10, 15 minutes, go into the garage, open up the door all the way. It's like, okay, I got a problem over here. I'm looking at the car. Don't look that old. Look kind of, kind of new. Not an old car. Okay, so what's going on over here? Oh, the alternator is, they say it might be the alternator. We got it diagnosed, but it could be the battery, something like that. So I'm getting underneath there, checking where the wires are, little knickknacks here and there. And I'm looking up underneath it and checking out everything, doing my battery check, seeing if the battery, the alternator, seeing where the juice is, doing my, and, taking the jumper cables and testing, all that type of stuff like that. And checking the fuses. And she wanted to look at the tailpipe. Sounded like it was shaking a little bit. So I want to see where the mounts were to see if it weren't, bumping up against the metal. The mounts weren't old and, what do you call that? Rusted. Going bad, bad rubber. And in between, while I'm underneath there looking at the exhaust after checking out the battery and stuff like that, she began to talk about a daughter that she had that used to stay with her. And she said, yeah, I did make bad mistakes before in the past. And I did a lot of terrible things that I regret. And I understand if men don't like me, if men don't want to be with me, because I probably wouldn't want to be with myself, but, I can't change. And I've learned to just go ahead and accept me for me. And I'm valued anyway. Men should just take me for who I am. I have to learn how to love myself, that I'm the prize, and, that, I'm worth it. Men should just go ahead and, if us women request something, men should just do it because we're worth it. I am a woman at the end of the day. How come you can't see that? And I'm sitting there, my face is red as I'm sitting underneath the car thinking, like, what kind of nerve does she have? The audacity. So basically she's saying she's better than a man. Like, men should just pay for it because she's a woman. I'm thinking, like, please, I shouldn't even be here getting ready to just drop the wrench. And you know what? Y'all, you fix your own car. I'm out of here. I don't have time for this. You conversate with yourself. Go in the front room. Shut your mouth. Don't be out. This is a man's circle out here. Go somewhere else. If you ain't bringing me a glass of orange juice or tea or something like that, you don't need to be out here. Well, I'm going to have a conversation with you. Right? And she began to talk about how when, years ago, with the child that she's talking about, she had a child was like 15, going on 16 years old. She said, yeah, I was chasing my career and chasing men all the time. There are times where I leave my daughter at home because she was grown enough to take care of her own. She was grown enough to clean her own house, to clean her room, make her own food. So I felt like she was an adult enough to handle the responsibility. I'm like, okay. Like, dang, those are very, it's like close ages. Wow. Like, what's going on here? Right. And she said, yeah, there was actually a situation where I came home and, with my daughter had the door open. I was like, what's going on here? She's upstairs in the bedroom, pretending like nothing ever happened, but it smelled funny. That smell of sex, like, it just smelled kind of, funny. I'm like, yeah, I understand that. So you think something happened? Say, well, I didn't think too much about it until a little while later, where my daughter began to tell me that she wasn't, that her body was kind of feeling funny. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm like, okay. So I'm going to go get her checked out. And, yeah, lo and behold, she got a hold of some kind of way she got herself pregnant. I'm like, what? I'm thinking, I said, by that time she just turned 16. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. That's pretty young, and the body, the anatomy. And I'm thinking, and here's my scientific mind just clicking all over the place. Now I'm clicking like click, 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 click. Like, what's going on here? Like, what's up? What's up? Okay. So she ends up telling me that it was a big argument, and the dad's pretty much out of town, and he hears about this, and he's furious and railing at her, cursing her out, and how could you let my daughter do this, and you're irresponsible, and you want to take custody, so blah blah blah. I'm thinking, okay, that's what she's talking about. I understand that's what she's talking about. I understand why men don't love me or don't like me or don't want to be with me. I was an evil woman in my past. I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, you were out of your mind. You was out of your mind. So I'm thinking, so I'm asking her, so did the situation get resolved? She's like, yeah, we dealt with the situation, and the boy that she was with was somewhat around her age and all that. I'm like, wow. She would let this one of her guy friends to the house when I leave. I figure, they were, teenagers. I met the guy every now and then. I didn't think they'd ever do anything like that. Well, yeah, you didn't think. In my mind, I'm thinking you didn't think like you ever do. You didn't think. Of course you did. So, of course, because her body wasn't so well developed as it needed to be, she ended up getting a miscarriage, so forth, so on, needing to be taken care of, patched up, healed, medications, blah, blah, right? Very terrible situation that I really don't want to talk about on public YouTube. Okay. And I was like, wow. And okay, what's this girl's name? Amy. I was like, whoa, hit my head on the bottom part of the car. Like, boom, like what? Because I knew her name. I knew her name. I knew the mom's name. And no, she didn't tell me. No, Amy did not tell me what her mom's name was. I stayed away from stuff like that because I never had good experiences with with mothers, not babies, with mothers of daughters who I have spoken to, because a lot of women that I've came across have been jaded. They've dealt with, they're not married, they don't have a boyfriend, and they're miserable. A lot of them, they have been unhappy. They've lived an unsuccessful lifestyle. So I try to stay away from them. And most times I know that the mothers are going to try to ruin the daughter's chance of success. So the more I stay away from it, I don't have to deal with it. So I didn't know. I'm like, get out of here. So you're the mother. You're someone. Yep, that's me. And of course, again, I told you I was blue pill. I mean, I wasn't this type of guy who asked thorough questions. I wasn't a guy who was, well endowed with the experience of the world. I'm still trying to figure out how things operate. So, of course, I would have thought to, ask, what is your dad's name, what's your mom's name, sort of thing. But at the time, I didn't figure that it was important. I was just there for her, and to do what any man would do, just spend time with them and donkey dunk if they want to. And so after she said that her name was Amy, wow, that blew my mind. I jumped from, because the stories was lining up too well. I mean, it was lining up too well. It seemed too accurate of her asking for stuff from her husband, or I guess in this case, Amy's dad, right? And she had the same somewhat personality, almost looked the same, but there was a little difference because Amy's hair is a different color, eye color is a little differently. She walked a little differently. So it's kind of, yeah, you look like so-and-so, but I don't want to overly assume because you're just my client. I'm only here to work on your car and leave the personal stuff alone, right? Keep business, personal life is somewhere else, not here. So as I'm staring at her and I'm wiping my hands and looking at her, and she's like, oh, so Amy? It's like, yeah, I know Amy quite well. And at the time I'm thinking, so this is why Amy asks for exchange for her activities, because she is looking for gifts and thinking that because she donkey dunks, she deserves something in return. She deserves something in return. So the interaction continued on. Okay. And I, told her about Amy and situations like, yep, I did that. My bad. My mistake. I created it. I created the monster. She's living like that. Yeah, I know the boyfriend. Blah, blah. I'm like, wow. This is her car. No way. This is the daughter's car. That's another reason why I popped up and hit my head almost on the bottom of the fender. Like this, I'm touching her. This is the car that the boy actually paid for her to get. Like, and no wonder it don't look that old. No wonder it. I'm like, where's the warranty on it? I'm talking about cheap or something like that. I don't know. While I'm in this garage working on her car from her so-called boyfriend. Like I'll say, where are they at? Are they still together? No. Oh, let me see it. Nope. No. Working on this car, and where she's at. Going to the next victim. Her next victim. The next victim, she's going to say, give me something, give me something, give me something, but I'm not going to give anything to you in return. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to give to you in return is what men have been getting for years, and that's just a single donkey dunk and a kiss on the forehead. As if. So to make that story short, of course, there was a lot of other things that have happened in interaction, but we don't talk today. I'll let that alone because just makes my stomach hurt talking about it. The point of this story, and it was a large one. Okay, the point of it is this. The exchange is not just a financial exchange. The exchange is not just because, well, I'm not going to say finances, but the exchange for it doesn't always have to be like, okay, because I lay on my back, you need to pay me for me laying on my back. It's not like that anymore. It still is with the so-called legal prostitution we got going on, but it's not so simple like that, like it used to be. I lay down on my back, and because of that, go into your wallet and pull out a few bills, as a matter of fact. Or if you can't do that, go swipe something with your credit card and give it to me, right? What extends from that is not necessarily that, and it's more like, I lay on my back, I want you to do this for me, buy this for me. Now you're obligated to pay for this. Now you're obligated to go get an expensive ring that you got to make payments on per month just because I lay on my back. And because I'm a woman, you are obligated to do it. You understand? So the reason why I named this story the 17-year-old prostitute is because that is actually the realistic and technical exchange that is going on based on how her mother decided to live her life. And a lot of women do think like that as well. As a matter of fact, you will find a handful of them, surprisingly, that will say, well, a man is supposed to do this. A man is supposed to provide. A man is supposed to pay, do this, pay. And it's always money, do this. And if it's not money, it's providing something. And your question should be, in exchange for what? What are you doing for him in exchange? What is it that you're doing? Oh, well, I lay on my back. I donkey dunk. I keep my hair straight. I brush my teeth. I married him. So because I married him, he owes me whatever that he can produce. That's an exchange. That's no different than prostitution. It's no different than saying, hey, because I am doing this for you, I want you to give me something back. I want you to give me something back. That's not love. It's prostitution. Love is if you're saying, well, we're going to interact with each other because I just want to be with you. I love it just as much as you do. I'm not asking you for anything. Okay, just put me on my back because I want you to put me on my back. And I like it when you put me on my back, and let's both enjoy it and have fun. We both enjoy what we bring to the table, and I'm not going to ask you for nothing. That's when it's a genuine, probably a very good, intimate donkey dunk connection there. But whenever it's, well, I just laid on my back, so now you owe me. I laid on my back, so you got to give me such an amount of money. That's prostitution. That's prostitution. It goes even further than that. It goes to the point where it called what is that? The alimony, the child support situation, all because you did what? I married you for this certain amount of years, so I deserve in today's world, this ain't 1940, 1950 anymore, where women couldn't take care of themselves. This isn't in the old days where she would hold down the home and provide for and be the diligent mom, right? Where she's taking care of the clothes, she's cleaning dirty Pampers. You know, she got a dirty apron full of smudged up apple juice and fingerprints on the wall. It's not like that anymore. I can understand a situation like that. She can't support herself. She's been supporting the children. So she would need some type of amenity. She would need somebody there to provide for her, to take care of her because she's been taking care of the kids. But now it's a case of equality. She's working now. No, she's making her own money now. Now she's out there. No, she's not doing what she did at home anymore. She's not. If anything, again, it's like one or two kids or even one child. One child. Like you need an entire army to take care of that one child. Even though I know children are expensive anyway. I know that. But what was the exchange? But most times he's not getting anything in return. Most times it's just her coming to the picture and that's it. Or she'll say, well, I'm bringing myself. Like what? Because I'm bringing myself in the relationship, you owe me. Because I allowed you to enter into my flap life. Okay, you have to pay me. And so because the mothers think like this, or specifically her, Amy's mom thought this way, she was the reason why she got rid of Amy's father. Her father didn't want to be in the picture because her father realized over a dramatic, stressful situation and the hard way that he was just a walking ATM machine. And because he wasn't willing to allow her to punch the codes into his life and to give her the money that she thought she deserved or she was, what do you call that, worthy of, she got mad and decided to escape by doing the very same thing that most of them do. I want a divorce. I'm not happy because he don't want to buy me anything. I'm not happy because he don't want to get a bigger house. I'm not happy because he's not going to buy me a brand new car. What is that called? What is that exchange called? What is it called? There's nothing else you can actually label it as. Nothing else. And then guess who comes behind her? Her daughter. The root of the evil. See, it wasn't Amy that I met. It wasn't completely Amy's fault that she was thinking, well, you know, I want you to do this. Buy me that. Pay my car note. Do this, do this, do that. It wasn't just her. It's not generally the daughter's fault who thinks like that. It's not generally the daughter's fault when she grows up and she expects that to be the interaction where she say, well, I am the prize. And because I'm your girlfriend or your wife, you are obligated to pay me. You are obligated to purchase my services. You are obligated to purchase the fact that I am able to lay down on my back. So you're going to purchase it one way or the other. This is how girls grow up. This is how girls grow up and expect men to be the pack mule, expect men to be kicked around, talked about, abused, while she's sitting there laughing and she got her Gucci boot on the back of his neck and he's suffering. And guess what she'll say? I don't care. I don't care because guess what? If you don't give it to me, there's going to be some other guy who is. And guess what? That's exactly what Amy did. As soon as I said, no, I'm not going to, I'm good. Go out, mind my own business, go drink a beer or something like that. Now, let me go ahead and deal with my own struggles alone without you thinking that I'm an ATM machine. No, the bank is closed, baby. The bank is closed, baby. She'd be like, oh, yeah, okay. Oh, okay. So you're closed. That's all right, because there's another bank down the street somewhere. So I'm gonna go ahead and get in my little bitty pink car, and I'm gonna rush over there because over there is going to be a plethora of blue pill morons who is going to pay for this because I'm worth it. I'm worth it. I'm worth it. So because I feel like I'm worth it because my mommy taught me to be this way, I'm going to think this way. Even though it's not really logically thinking, it's still feeling at the end of the day. So therefore, guess what she's going to do? I want you to do for me. And I'm not going to get into the schematics of that. I can go deeper than that because I know that branches off to something else, because this goes to another darker circle where we hear often women say, well, don't be expecting a man to do for you. Don't depend on a man. Okay, it's always either you completely hot out of relationship, you're over hot, you overheat the relationship, or you're just too cold. You're over cold. That's usually what I have experienced during my time dealing with some of the westernized women. Either it is going to be a overheated engine, or it's going to be too cold to operate. That's just never in between. In between is logic and balance. In between is when you put emotions aside and start thinking with your head. You start compromising, you start balancing, and you start making logical sacrifices. Then you can have a balanced relationship. But there's not too many balanced relationships that I know of, because it's either, well, I'm going to take him for all his resources, or I'm not going to depend on him at all for nothing. I'm going to walk around and say, I'm independent. I don't want you. I don't need you for anything. Never to the point where, well, yeah, I can do this, but I'm gonna need you for that as well. Yeah, I can do this, but we still need to work out as a team and cooperate with each other. It's never that. It's never that. And what I mean by never, I know that there's exceptions to the rules, and I'm only actually talking about the majority of them. Okay, I'm not talking about all and everyone, but I'm just saying, for the sake of this conversation, it's never that way. So when it's overbearing, my rule is, when it's more than half, when it's unbalanced, that means the one that's the majority of it is the problem. The majority is the issue. So the majority of them say that. The majority of them will say, well, either I'm going to expect for him to open up the door and let me walk on his back so I can enter, or I'm going to say, I just don't need him at all. I'm not going to depend on. I'm independent. I'm strong. Okay, I don't want him for anything. The middle is what reality would take care of. Nature will deal with that. Nature will come along and let you know that you can't do it all by yourself. Nature will make you swallow your words later on in your life when you get a little older and you're at home or by yourself. Because since we don't understand balance in between while we are young enough to do so and have the opportunity, because we either hot or cold, that's okay. Nature and life's going to balance that out for us. So that's the gumption of that story. So it's not specifically that the 17-year-old was like, okay, because I decided to lay on my back, where's my dollars at? Where's my money's at? It's not about that. It's not about that. It's a different way, and it's a different form, where it's the same thing. It's just transformed just in a different way. The money is still transformed in different ways, in different subjects, in different systems, where it's still being given back. Oh, because I do this, you're going to buy me that red car? Okay, we'll do it. I'm expecting for you to buy me a red car. It's still an exchange. It's still laying back saying, hey, because I'm giving you this, I expect that. Because I marry you, I expect this. Because I'm your girlfriend, you are obligated to be the ATM machine. So we're going to move on to the next story.